Yeah, sounds good. If you'll work on this lobby then. So we have the Choo Choo Boiz, as he said, is the first match. This is their first match of the season. They look like a relatively new team. Something interesting about Sugar Bear is he is actually used to play Street Fighter V. Even won a tournament in late 2018. So excited. He's moved on to a superior game in that. But our other team, Artemis, here, the away team for tonight. This is their second match of the season. They had a 2-0 victory over Luigi and Knuckles at the Olympic Games. And they're definitely a strong macro team. So Choo Choo Boiz has their work cut out for them in this game one in their game one, rather. The portrait synergy. Excellent here. Very important and helpful. Yeah, soon they'll learn that it actually increases your passive experience to have portrait synergy. You don't want to miss out on the free experience. Go ahead. Yeah, I got one little more fact here. Actually, Ashcan and Seven are the only players in D West to have no deaths so far in the season, and they're two of only 15 across all of NGS to have 0 deaths. We'll see if they can continue their streak into their second match of the season. I think that we will see a Zul ban here. I think he's even with the slight adjustments made in the recent balance changes, he's still a very strong shrine clearer. He's a strong laner. He's got good team fight presence. And he's had over 90% popularity in NGS so far. I think he'll be definitely either picked or banned.
Yep, I would have to agree here, but we're going to start out with a Kael'thas ban, and and there's the Zul ban you were talking about, but Kael'thas generally is a very oppressive mage, especially in lower levels of play. A bit less coordination leads to those chain bombs being really gross, especially over the shrine. And then it's going to be a Ragnaros ban coming out. So looking to deny the potential to really just neglect what objectives are able to do thanks to his keep form there on his trait. And the last ban going to be a JOHANNA ban here.
JOHANNA, the only other hero who also has a above 90% pick or ban rate in NGS from Season 1.
Nice.
So, just 2 interesting facts for you. ETC picked up for Honestly on the side of Artemis. That's one of his main tanks. JOHANNA was his other one.
Yep, and ETC is definitely one of the standard tanks in the meta right now. He is decently bulky, not quite as squishy as your Anubarak or your Arthas, so he's able to sustain through a lot of poke, and he has very powerful engage ability. So he is pretty solid overall, but the front line going to be picked up here for the Choo Choo Boiz with Sonya and Garrosh. And that is a very aggressive combo to start off. Sonya, of course, known for being very powerful on Infernal Shrines. She's able to spin to win, to control the shrine, getting a lot of sustain from the minions, and Garrosh in general can be a terror if you don't respect his ability to displace and disrupt during a team fight.
Yeah, definitely two strong, scary frontliners to match from our red team, Artemis. We have a Mephisto, played by Ashkan, and a Anduin, played by Seven. So Mephisto going to look to just completely negate that front line and just sneak behind and see if he gets some free damage on the minions and or on the heroes. We'll see what the backline looks like for Choo Choo Boiz.
And Seven also going to help out a lot there. Anduin's trait, very strong against a Garrosh. He's able to save every 80 seconds or so someone who gets thrown by just pulling him back. Next ban going to be, or the final ban for Choo Choo Boiz, going to be onto the Greymane. The Cursed Bullet can definitely hurt against a Garrosh who is so reliant on his armor that the percent damage is pretty terrifying, and with the Mephisto and ETC, that could definitely combo in really well. And then the ALEXSTRAZZA going to be the last ban here for the first map. This is her classic map, able to control the shrine very effectively with her Dragon Queen form, which pretty much just forces the enemy team to take a disadvantageous fight or back off.
Balloon, grant us strength.
Next pick's going to be onto Jaina here for Rhett, and then the healer, Malfurion here. Both teams actually got their captains on the healers. So looking at Malfurion for the sustain against the poke from Mephisto, and potentially the second DPS here for Artemis.
Yeah, very interesting that both captains are playing healers here. That's something that's, I think, atypical on most teams.
Definitely. And the last picks...
Go ahead.
All right, well, the last picks here going to be Leoric and Vala, so good AoE, good shrine control, and then for the rounding out of the draft for Choo Choo Boiz, we have Raynor coming in. All right, so we're going to see, I think, two pretty standard and well-rounded drafts here. Lots of macro and team fight pressure from both of these. If you had, whose draft are you liking more, StoiC?
Yeah, I'm specifically going to look here for Shrine Clear, and I think I'm going to give it to the blue team. I think that they, well, you have strong clear from Mephisto, and Leoric's got some AoE, and Vala can put out some great damage as well. I think that the Sonya-Jaina combo is just going to absolutely delete those little Shrine minions. Shrine Guardians, excuse me, as they're called. So I think that they're going to have a good Shrine race, but a good Mosh and Tomb could really change that plan. We'll see. That's what I think. What about you, Hydra? What are you thinking?
I can't disagree. I really like the comp that Choo Choo Boiz have here. I think Jaina and Raynor are very synergistic just in their base kits. They're known for working well together, and they're both able to follow up very well on the Garrosh. So we'll have to see how Mad Mortigan on that Garrosh is able to perform here, as we'll go ahead and introduce our blue team to start off this match. For the Choo Choo Boiz, we have Mad Mortigan on Garrosh, Sugar Bear on Malfurion, Cool Dad 69 on Raynor, Rhett on the Jaina, and Ducro on Sonya.
The battle begins in 10
And on the red team, we have Anduin, played by Seven, ETC, played by Honestly, Leoric by Evernight, Mephisto, played by Ashkan, and Vala, played by Dark Horse.
And that is going to be Artemis. Both teams relatively new here. I believe this is the first competitive match, at least for the team of Choo Choo Boiz. I'm not sure if any of them have history here, but always good to see new players and new teams coming into the scene. We're going to break out into the first little squabble here over the mid lane. Looking at level 1 talents, pretty standard picks so far. We have the Exterminator coming in for Raynor, so looking for more pressure onto the shrine and onto camps here. And both teams getting off to double soaking, which is really great to see down here in DFD, something that is a really important skill for these beginning teams, and both making sure that they're getting to that.
Blue team with slightly faster clear, as we thought. We'll see if that pays off, as they are going to reach level 2 just before their opponents.
Yep, for the moment, looking like the rotations are going to be in favor of the Choo Choo Boiz, although some nice denial there of the globes from Artemis. That's going to slow down Jaina a lot on her level 1. She wants to get those globes as quickly as possible so that she's able to have that extra mana and that extra damage.
Yep.
Ooh,
Ooh, Garrosh, little bit out of position. ETC finds a slide.
Ooh, but the Bloodthirst, I believe it is, coming out just in time, going to save Mad Mortigan and honestly taking some damage back as punishment for the slide there. A nice exchange between the two teams as it looks like we're going to have Artemis moving on to their siege camp. Ooh, and in the top lane, Evernight getting the first blood, solo killing Sonya there. Really well played from them.
Now we see the red team Artemis grabbing their camp. And the blue team seems to be neglecting their siege camp. We'll see if this gives the red an opportunity to take this bottom camp. As they know that blue will have to respond to their camp in the mid lane.
And it looks like they are going to go for it. Sugar Bear's scouting it out, but he's got to be careful. Root gonna stop, honestly, from sliding onto him, but I don't think there's much Sugar Bear can do here other than try and poke away.
Here comes the flank from Vala. ETC's tossed. Garrosh is rooted. Stunned.
And barely falls. Auto attack coming in from Vala at the last moment to finish off the kill there. A bit of a ballsy attempt there from the side of the Choo Choo Boiz. And it's going to be leading to a 2-0 kill lead now here for the side of Artemis. And taking the lead in camps as well, as they've still got theirs pushing down the middle lane. And now looking for an invade onto the enemy siege.
This is going to put some serious pressure on this blue team to have to continue to clear mid. They'll have to clear this and respond here as well with these spear throwers now on the wall.
Yep. Thank you, Nexus Gaming Series, rating with 12. Appreciate it. Coming out. Hope that you are going to enjoy the D West action here as we're in our first map between these two teams. So far, looks like we've got Artemis taking control of the shrine as Choo Choo Boiz forced to clear all of the camps that are pushing out the lanes here.
New York looks to be handling the soak here as the shrine clear is going on, but it looks like possibly the Choo Choo Boiz are going to say this camp is more important than the objective, as they're giving up now of about a 15 Shrine Guardian lead.
Yep, it is definitely possible that they're just not super confident in their early game. They want to try and get some more stacks there for Jaina and for Garrosh before hard committing, or maybe just waiting for their level 7s, which are coming in for both teams now at the same time. And with Leoric seen in the bot lane, this is going to be temporarily a 4v5, and with a great throw onto Vala, that's going to be the first kill for our blue team. But the counter kill comes in quickly onto Sonya. It's 1-for-1 so far, and now Garrosh getting chunked, going to have to back up as Mephisto going in for more. Going to get a nice bit of damage onto the back line, but with Leoric's bot, it is still a 3v4, so Artemis is going to fall back and tap at the well.
Yeah. Choo Choo Boiz are also pretty low here, looking to start to clear their own minions, but they got to be careful because once this Vala comes back, they only have to clear 10 more minions to get this objective.
Definitely, and Leoric was able to get a nice bit of soak there, which helped a lot for them, trying to get the XP there, but the attempt for a throw onto Mephisto, I believe that was, from Garrosh is going to result in him getting killed as the entirety of the team of Artemis able to turn onto him, and it's going to be followed up with 2 additional kills onto Raynor and Malfurion. That should be, and it is the first Punisher, Frozen Punisher here for our red team Artemis.
Yeah, interesting to note here that both Garrosh and Sonya both have 2 deaths apiece. So while we thought the Mephisto would be getting that backline damage, it looks like he's getting some of the front line as well.
Yep, and that is going to be 2 more kills for Ashkan here on the Mephisto, doing great and following up the Punisher jump there to take out Sonya and Jaina. The Frozen Punisher, the strongest in the early game because of its ability to freeze down the structures, and that's going to result in another kill, early level 10s, and a fort for the side of our red team here. As we've got a pause coming in since Ashkan looks like having some connection issues on the Mephisto. Hopefully should be able to get them back in here. But for the moment, ults are here, so we can take a look at those. We have Strafe here for Vala, so looking for the aggressive pick, able to get that long-ranged AoE damage, as well as the Durance of Hate, Entomb, and Mosh Pit, and Anduin currently holding. What do you think? Are we going to see the bubble, the Holy Word Salvation, or is it going to be Light Bomb?
You know, I'm not sure here because the Strafe pick is it's a strong ability, and Vala has felt pretty safe this game. And so my thinking is is maybe they're going to go for the light bomb. That maybe Vala doesn't take Rain of Vengeance, and instead the stun comes from the Anduin. The extra CC comes from Anduin. Because typically Vala, it seems to me, take Rain of Vengeance to get that extra little bit of lockdown to finish off these kills here. But Vala going Strafe tells me that that red team, Artemis, is feeling confident in their ability to lock down the Choo Choo Boiz and get these picks.
And it's definitely been working out well for them so far. Looking at the kill count, it's 1-9, and while it looked pretty back and forth at the top shrine, I think we just saw that the coordination was a bit greater for Artemis as they were able to follow up on ETC's stuns and avoid the Garrosh, who was kind of just running in on his own, able to take out the backline pretty well there. Looks like we should have Mephisto back here, and we should be ready to start up shortly.
Yeah, something interesting to note as we wait for Ashken's potato computer, as he says, is Malfurion leads the blue team in damage with 8,500, while Mephisto leads the red team with almost twice at 15,700.
Yeah, that's a big stat difference here. And seeing the Malfurion with highest hero damage, a bit funny there. We have definitely seen some aggressive play here, but it looks like we should hopefully be jumping back in any moment now. We've got a 3-2-1 from 7, and we've still got this Punisher pushing with a little bit of health, but it's going to be left to be cleared here as Artemis is going to look elsewhere with their level 10s, maybe pushing in the middle lane.
7, the Anduin player, has opted to go for Light Bomb here this game.
Yep, and that's a solid pick, I think, all around. Holy Word Salvation definitely can get a lot of value if you're able to time it correctly, but the Light Bomb you can't go wrong with, especially on top of the ETC. If you're able to combo that with the Mosh Pit, or even with the Leoric and his Wraithwalk, you can get some devastating CC chains going in. With that being said, Durance of Hate thrown out, not going to land onto Mad Mortigan. But with the still 2-level lead advantage here, that's a luxury that the red team can afford. They can just throw out their ults because they know that Choo Choo Boiz won't have theirs for a little bit longer here, as they just now get 10 locked in. Looking at those ults, we're going to have the Twilight Dream, so opting for the more aggressive option here for Sugar Bear, as he has been playing aggressively so far, we've seen with his damage. And then we're going to see the Leap Warlord's Challenge, Rainer's Raiders, and Water Elemental, but with that, the fight is on, and the leap from Sonya is insane and leads to 3 kills here, abusing the choke on that bush.
Yeah, just absolutely deleting those squishies there, and even ETC falling as well. I think we saw a little bit of an early Light Bomb on the ETC, who might have been looking for a mosh, but ended up not connecting with that Light Bomb onto anybody.
Yeah, and that definitely hurts the lead here for the side of Artemis. They're going to lose about a level of their lead here, so still a level ahead, but also losing their Bruiser camp here means that during the next objective they won't be able to pressure out the top lane with that, which is crucial for the Choo Choo Boiz because that is where they are currently lacking a fort, which means the lane pressure is against them otherwise.
Yeah. Definitely that camp is cleared right away, but it's nice denial as Choo Choo Boiz takes their own Bruiser camp at the top lane.
I'd like to see them... Go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, I was going to say, red team looking for a kill in the middle, but they're not going to find it as Jano walks behind her fort and feels safe as she calls for help.
Yeah, I would have maybe liked to see the Choo Choo Boiz hold on to this camp a little bit longer, but it looks like they're going to get it now, and now it's Ducro who's receiving the gank. A nice power slide followed up by a root from 7, but the leap is there. Another very nice boon of that ultimate ability is that it gives Sonya a really nice escape, as now the counter engage starting up, but it's going to go sour there as both Rainer and Jaina, the 2 DPS, fall, only getting Vala, and Garrosh will fall as well, making it a 3-for-1 trade in favor of Artemis here. A very nice, I guess, counter engage on the counter engage from the Choo Choo Boiz.
Yeah, I think that the Choo Choo Boiz, Sonya having to use that leap actually, I think, was more impactful than her just getting away, but it gave Artemis a chance to say, hey, this cooldown that really hurt us in the last team fight is now down. Here's our chance to engage and get this big mosh.
As well as the Durance helped secure multiple targets in place, and that shows the strength of Mephisto when you have the lockdown between the Mosh Pit, the Light Bomb, and the Durance of Hate, you are able to do so much damage, and he is putting out lots of it with this W build that he's going for here. And all in the meantime, Leoric has been able to soak, and if you look at the XP numbers, he has 11,000 on his own. Sonya, the closest on the blue team, only at 7,000 though. Is the Punisher going to come out, but the fight is forced behind it. Looks like the leap is going to come onto Vala, but she will be saved. And now Ducro and Mad Mortigan, the front line for the Choo Choo Boiz, are getting very low. Taunt goes out, but it won't be enough, as both the front line are going to fall for the Choo Choo Boiz. GG Sugar Bear looks for the Twilight Dream, but will not get it. It's going to be Raynor and Malfurion falling as well. Rhett on the Jaina trying to escape, but likely won't be able to here. That's going to be a team wipe, but a little bit of vengeance here as Vala is falling.
I think that last Ice Bolt might have shot Vala's crossbow for her, as they both die at the same moment there. John Cena now approaching the mid keep, throwing some couple bombs here and there. We'll see if they can knock this keep here at the 10:30 mark.
Definitely. Mad Mortigan looking for a throw there, but once again, the counter engage from ETC, played by Honestly here, is excellent. A nice Twilight Dream from Sugar Bear, but the follow-up isn't there, just using it to force the enemy team back and try and keep this keep alive, as they're without their tank on the side of the Choo Choo Boiz. Looks like they will be able to protect it, but Leoric, with his split soaking, has opened up the bottom lane. It looks like that might be the next target here after this camp, as Artemis have already collected their level 16 talents here. Looking at the talents, actually, bit of an interesting choice here from Evernight, going for an auto attack focus, gonna try and be aggressive into the enemy team and get a lot of self-sustain as well as sustained damage here, as opposed to the more protective damage reduction focus that you might see from Leroy normally.
And I think that is true to brand for what we've seen for Artemis here, is that they're out there looking for blood. They're looking to get kills, and maybe he just feels confident that he can get this Mithril Maze stacked through the team fights that we've been seeing.
Speaking of looking for kills, Cool Dad caught out a little bit, but he was made aware of it. Saw some pings coming out from his team there, so he was able to escape. A bit of a counter-engage attempt, but not much going to come of it. Actually, Entomb being used onto Garrosh here, and the Power Slide and Light Bomb is going to result in Garrosh being the first blood of that fight, followed up by Malfurion here. The attempt of an engage with Leap is going to result in Sonya falling as well, and that's another 3-0 win here for Artemis in these team fights. Doing such a good job at protecting their squishies here is 7 on the Anduin.
And now that Mithril Mace is now almost, it's 70% stacked.
Yep, lots of stacks coming in from that team fight. And Mephisto getting aggressive even, jumping over the wall to try and hit onto Cool Dad and Rhett as they try to defend their keep here in the bottom lane. The focus a bit split from the side of Artemis, but I love what they're doing. They're looking at the next objective, gonna be in the bottom lane, and deciding to go ahead and try to push in the bottom lane. As a result, weaken it up so that they will be more effective with that next objective.
Interesting little micro tidbit there. If you watched as Ashcan, as Raynor approached, Ashcan, who had his W up, stepped away just to make sure that he didn't get that Lightning Nova damage onto Raynor, because knew he didn't want to take any shots from the fort.
Yeah,
a little bit of that
definitely well
Nexus
played.
anomaly coming into play, but it's a big Durance of Hate and a leap at the same time.
Ooh, a good disruption from the leap, but the Entomb followed up by the Mosh and the Light Bomb. That's 4 kills coming in. Garrosh trying to live a bit longer, gets the taunt off, but it will be those 4 kills, as I said. And now Rhett just trying to get away, but it's going to be a 5-man team wipe. Blue team dominated, says the announcer, and that was a dominant play from Artemis. They're going to take this mid keep, and I expect that they will go for game here, and it should be theirs. Showing off their strength in this first match against the new team of the Choo Choo Boiz. Excellent play from them so far, racking up 26 kills in this first map.
Wow. I thought that ETC was going to go down, but the Light Bomb in that team fight showed how it not only does a little bit of damage, but it also heals ETC for 350 for every hero hit. So I think ETC got a little bit of a stimulus there.
Definitely. A very, very well played team fight, using the Light Bomb to punish the clump that came from the dive with Sonya and Garrosh, and really proving that they could do what Sonya was able to do in the choke point there earlier, and getting a beautiful mosh off of it.
Yeah, wow. And now there is only one player in D West who has not died this season, and that is Seven. The
Wow.
only one standing still.
All right, well, we'll see if he's able to keep it going. As looking at the stats here, he did put out a ton of healing here compared to Sugar Bear on the other side. So excellently played from him there. Saving Vala repeatedly from Sonya, I noticed. Sonya, I think that's definitely something you can go for, but the Anduin pick was very, very knowledgeable, read the enemy team in draft, and that's exactly the kind of play I like to see coming from our lower leagues here, looking at Division D.
Yeah, I think one of the things that looking at these statistics still is this Malfurion pick, this Malfurion with essentially tied hero damage with Raynor. So his time was spent healing, but also a lot of it was dealing damage as the second most damage on his team. Tied with the second most damage on his team.
Definitely. We'll have to see what the picks are in the next map. Are we going to see more aggression from either of these sides, or are we going to see maybe more of a macro focus as we go into our second map here shortly? Just going to wait on some knowledge from the teams here. Let me go ahead and actually whisper our captain of the Choo Choo Boiz to figure out what they're wanting. They did actually, they won the coin toss. That's worth noting. They chose to go to the map. They felt confident that Infernal Shrines was where they wanted to go. And I think makes sense here.
And I think they drafted well for it. I think they drafted a comp to come to Infernal Shrines and to win these objectives.
Definitely. And I think while the execution in the end did prove to be more effective for the side of Artemis, I think Infernal Shrines is known for being the standard map because it is a map where you can kind of get away with most things and you're able to scout out the other team as a result. So I think maybe with the scouting of the strengths and weaknesses here of our red team, maybe we see a comeback starting up for the side of the Choo Choo Boiz, as we should hopefully be figuring out what they're wanting here shortly. I'm just trying to get a hold of our other team.
Yeah, I think Ashcan really showing the damage that Mephisto can put out with that Lightning Nova build here. Top damage in the game by quite a margin.
Yeah,
getting serious value off of just the clumped nature of the blue team here. Just ticking and ticking and ticking. Interesting.
All right. Sorry, just trying to get a hold of one of the team captains here. So that's the delay for the moment. Just trying to figure out what we're gonna do for our next map here. But honestly, I think what I would like to see is go to a map here where we see a lot more team fighting. Maybe something like Battlefield of Eternity, because it felt like while the team fights did go decisively in the favor of Artemis, a lot of that was thanks to the fact that Leoric was able to soak constantly. And they also were able to get ahead on camps pretty consistently. So maybe try and take a bit of that out of the picture here so that they can turn it around.
Interesting. I was going to suggest possibly the exact opposite and say maybe they should look for a map where they can rotate. Because I noticed that the Choo Choo Boiz did get to level 2 faster, which is a small victory. But it is still their rotations from top to middle was faster. And the rotation, or from middle to bot was faster. And the rotation back to mid after clearing the wave was slightly faster, and so I thought it was going to be indicative of the way this game would go. So I'd like to see them draw back and try and see if they can go toe-to-toe in macro with Artemis here.
All right, well, we have heard that it's going to be map pick, again, the selection for the Choo Choo Boiz. So we'll figure out which map they're going to go for here shortly, and then we can jump into a lobby and get into our second game, as it's going to be actually a little bit of both, I think, as we're going to Tomb of the Spider Queen. High focus on rotations and team fighting there.
Yeah, the best of both worlds. We're both right. I love it.
All right. So let's go ahead and hopefully get our members into this lobby here quickly, and then we'll be able to jump into our game. Let's see. We did have multiple raids coming in. I guess that's one of the benefits of being a late night cast here. Raids coming in from Nyquil, Taco, and Ektar. Thank you very much to all of you. Thanks for joining us here on our second map here, starting shortly for this best of 3.
Yep. Well, party people in the chat. This is Choo Choo Boiz. They need some of these vibes in their first match here. I think they can do it. I think they obviously know how to draft. They know how to rotate. I think that Artemis had their number in game 1. So let's see what they've got for us here planned on Tomb of the Spider Queen, game 2.
We definitely saw a very standard draft, and I think if we see something similar, I think it would definitely prove successful here. A lot of the heroes that they chose on the previous map, heroes such as Sonya, heroes such as Jaina, even Garrosh, can be very strong on this. I think if they're able to adjust their play a little bit to prevent the mid-game ganks there that kind of got them down, I think they have a good chance of coming back here and hopefully going for a game number 3, as we have everyone in the lobby and should hopefully be starting any moment now for these two teams to get into the second map. Go ahead and bring up the info for that again. So for those who are joining recently or weren't quite able to see the early picks and bans, we saw Choo Choo Boiz winning the coin flip, decided to go for the map pick, and that led to them first of all banning out Alterac and Towers, where Artemis banned Dragonshire and Volskaya Foundry here. So started off with Infernal Shrines, and now going of course to Tomb of the Spider Queen, which I forgot to update because I'm silly. But now we got that there, and that is that's the series so far. 1-0 in favor of Artemis. Gonna see here if they're able to take their second domination victory of the season. Definitely started out well in week 1, where we had, I believe, a bye for the Choo Choo Boiz.
Yeah. Or will we see the reverse sweep? You know, I love to see a game 3. And while I don't have a favorite in this map, I'm rooting for Choo Choo Boiz here in game 2.
Yeah, I have to agree. I'm always looking for the third game. I think makes things a lot more exciting here for both the audience and for us as the casters. Players, I would say, definitely makes it a lot more exciting. Whether or not they like it, that's up to them. But we'll see, as we should hopefully be starting here any moment now. We've got teams on a bio break. The classic delay here.
Classic delay. Something interesting from my research. Sugar Bear, his team in Heroes Lounge, it looked to me, he had a team in Heroes Lounge in Season 4, Division 4, and they finished 2nd place in the regular season. And Sugar Bear was playing a lot of Zarya. And then some Sylvanas and Li Ming. So I'd maybe like to see a little bit of a role swap. Sugar Bear obviously showing that he can put out the damage when damage is available. So I'd like to see if maybe he gets onto that Zarya and does a little bit of protecting, but also lets Team Artemis feel the heat.
Definitely, and I think Zarya is a very strong hero, especially when paired with Garrosh, which was their tank of choice for our first map here. So that is definitely a possibility, as we have both teams ready, and we're going to go ahead and jump into our draft here as soon as the game loads in. And perfect timing, there it is. Alright, so once again, first pick was given to Artemis here. Map pick was chosen by the Choo Choo Boiz. So what I'd like to see here is maybe some respect bans from either side. I think there was definitely strong play from both sides. Jaina was played very well, I believe, and could be very effective on this map. And I think the ETC could be something that we see respected here as well. But of course there are those meta picks, the Johanna and the Zool, which might be coming out as bans regardless of how well heroes were played last map.
Yeah. We'll have to see. As the first ban will set the tone, and Artemis bans Kael'thas again. Really not wanting to see the the fiery boy.
Definitely, and I mean, that doesn't surprise me at all. I know even up into Div C and Div B, heck, Div A and Heroic, I've seen fireballs, the firebombs get value across all levels of play. They can be really disgusting if you aren't thinking about them, and even if you are, it forces a team to split, and that kind of disruption is something that a lot of the time teams just don't like to see. As well as the Zool, even with the nerfs, no one wants to see him. He's just banned out permanently.
Interesting. Team Artemis banning ETC, who was, I feel like, one of the clutch players for pushing that Garrosh out of position last game.
Yep, definitely some very strong plays. The 4-man Mosh at the end, they're securing the game for the side of Artemis. So now taking that away because, I imagine, they want the JOHANNA here, and when it came to the choice between banning JOHANNA or Deathwing, Deathwing is feared more by Choo Choo Boiz, and as expected, JOHANNA is going to be picked up for Artemis. That will give them already a lot of great momentum in the rotations, where they were a bit slower in the first game.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And this is Honestly's other strong tank. He's an ETC JOHANNA player, so he's feeling right at home. As we see Sonya and Raynor locked in again, so two of the same pieces in the comp from Choo Choo Boiz last game.
Yep, speaking of right at home, they're going for their comfort here, and that's something that I think at this level of play, go for. If you want to go for simple, if you want to go for comfort, go for it. And I think they showed a lot of promise with those pieces when they were able to get the fights that were favoring them. But speaking of similar picks, this draft is looking really familiar to me so far.
Yeah, Ashkin saying, I've seen this before. I've done it once. I can do it again.
And 7, again, also looking to deny the picks with the leap. If he's able to pull them away, they aren't going to die to that, and that'll be, without a Wrath of the Berserkers, Sonya's a good bit less powerful during those team fights. So we'll have to see, will it be the leap again, knowing that the Anduin will be there? We'll have to see, as Greymane also banned out again. So similar draft patterns all around from both sides.
Yeah.
All right, so
banned from Artemis. See what they choose. Will they? I don't remember who was banned last time, but maybe this will be the same one. Nah, it was Garrosh.
All right, so taking away the potential preferred tank here from the side of the Choo Choo Boiz, and I think you can't really go wrong with that. You've already taken away ETC. You can take away Garrosh here and force Mad Mortigan onto something that potentially he isn't comfortable on. But we're gonna see something very interesting here. It's going to be the Stitches. This is a strong map for him. You can go for the Globe Talon at level 1 and just rotate with your team and stock up there and get an enormous health pool. And with Jaina, Sonya, and Raynor to follow up a hook, there is a lot of potential danger here, especially Malfurion, known for being strong with Stitches. So if we're seeing comfort picks, this is looking like a potentially very strong draft for the Choo Choo Boiz. But also, for Artemis, as they're grabbing Lunar and Leoric, and then it is the Malfurion as expected.
Something here that I'm thinking about is I think that last game with the comp from Choo Choo Boiz, they had the whole thing. They had the engage, the lockdown, the finish. But oftentimes Garrosh in setting up those kills was a little bit forward, taking lots of damage from the Mephisto and the Vala. Maybe we're going to see here a similar play where he has the hook, but Stitches can start those, can bring someone out of position from a much greater range than Garrosh. So maybe this will be a stronger game. Is the only change in the draft here from the previous game is a Stitches swapped Garrosh.
Yep. So
and I guess, yeah.
Looking for a bit more range on the picks here, and I think that'll definitely favor Mad Mortigan here, as he did get isolated a good bit in fights last game, as you were saying. But the shakeups here for our other side going to be JOHANNA, simply for the rotation ability there, who is also another hero who can work really well with the Light Bomb, maybe even seeing Falling Sword combined with it here, as that's a pretty powerful combo and allows for engage onto the backline, which could be strong if we're seeing reserved play from the side of the Choo Choo Boiz, trying to sit back with Stitches.
Yeah. Spicy combo. We'll see if they're going to run it here.
All right.
we've seen them neglect some safety for some of that hard engage. Sorry, let's introduce these teams. I'm sorry.
Oh, of course. So starting on the left with the Choo Choo Boiz, we have Cool Dad on the Rainer, Rhett on the Jaina, Sugar Bear on the Malfurion, Ducro on the Sonya, and mixing it up as the only member of the team to switch for this map, Mad Mortigan playing the Stitches.
And on our red team, Seven playing Anduin, Ashkin playing Mephisto, Evernight playing Leoric, honestly on Johanna, and Dark Horse playing Lunara for Team Artemis.
Alright, starting off in the engage in the middle lane, and Sugar Bear is already trying to duel it out against Dark Horse here, looking for the aggressive Malfurion play. And I mentioned we might see a Globe talent here for Mad Mortigan. Didn't turn out being the case, but he's going for the, I guess, standard meta pick, you might say, with the Savor the Flavor. Going to be able to try and stack that up to get some really high health regeneration instead.
An interesting Malfurion's pick is Celestial Alignment at level 1, which will mean he has more damage, but a little less of that healing. We'll see if that comes into play here, if he can confirm some kills while still keeping his team alive.
And this time, rotation's looking very strong for the side of our red team, Artemis. In fact, doing so well that they're going to be able to clear out the middle lane and immediately send Dark Horse on the Lunara, as well as 7 on the Anduin to start off their Bruiser camp. This time, though, it will be matched here as we have both DPS here starting the Bruiser camp for the side of the Choo Choo Boiz. And otherwise, looking at pretty standard rotations here. Evernight again doing a good job at stopping Ducro and pushing him back on the Sonya.
Bruiser camp cleared incredibly quickly thanks to Exterminator taking level 1 by Raider, and Jane is just all around great area of effect damage.
That being said, though, they are rotating more around the soak, so they're going to give away the clear here onto the Bruiser camp, and now gonna have to try and defend the other team's Bruiser. Mad Morgan looking for hooks, but unfortunately with the wave in the way, not going to be able to get anything.
Yeah, we're seeing about a slight macro advantage for our red team as Lunara peels off to soak the top lane.
And the rest of the team looking at the bottom lane here. Going to start onto the siege camp. It was seen, but with the big rotation, Sonya's just going to say, I'm not going in on that. Just going to go ahead and back, heal up, and defend as level 5 now here for both teams, and both teams trying to get some gems turned in.
Yeah, slight gem advantage, actually. And as I say, that is no longer the case in the case of the blue team, who had 37, 40 almost. But, oh, actually, gems are tied. Both team with 38, either in possession or turned in.
Yep, doing pretty well here, not missing waves. The main thing, though, to watch is who's turning in their gems, and right now that is definitely in favor of Artemis, doing a good job about dropping those off. If you look at our blue team in the Choo Choo Boiz, Rhett sitting with 11, Mad Mortigan with 13, and Ducro with 17, so that's a lot of banked gems which haven't been put in yet, and so even though they have turn-in availability slightly
Cool Dad
before
getting
their...
low.
Yeah,
Oh.
in the middle lane, it's a kill.
Ticked
And a
off.
double kill. And Ashkan gets away. Whew, that was a very aggressive dive under the towers, getting the Li Ming Calamity style kill with the Shade of Mephisto.
Yes.
But getting away with it as well.
Oh. Yeah, and this will secure them the first objective of the game. Maybe not, because Leoric has some. So I misspoke. But we'll allow them to safely turn in a large portion of gems, putting them just 2 gems away from the first objective of the game.
Definitely, and Evernight shouldn't have an issue getting his gems turned in either, as he has been dominating the solo lane. Ducro really struggling against the Spectral Leech for Leoric, and he doesn't even need to turn in, as the rest of his team is on top of it, getting the rotations, getting the gems, and getting the first turn-in of the game. We'll have to see if these web weavers are able to get some value here, or if the defense will turn out well for the Choo Choo Boiz.
Yeah, I think if the Choo Choo Boiz, if they can clinch this game and take us to a game 3, I'd like to see the Leoric ban here. I think Leoric's been giving Sonya a lot of trouble in that bottom lane.
definitely true. And I think maybe once we see some map preference go away, if they're able to get that first pick, that can also help free up them a lot because they won't have to worry about being the ones to ban out Soul here. So maybe looking for that in the potential Game 3, but for now, we got to focus on Game 2 as Honestly and the rest of his team are pushing in the middle lane with this Web Weaver and getting some really big siege damage out, as well as hero damage. All of the blue team looking low. Mephisto going in for aggression as always.
Oh, Jaina dies to damage over time.
Yep, barely caught there by Dark Horse, doing a good job of taking her out, using the fact that there were the recent changes to take out Jaina as she was not in range of the fort that Dark Horse was under. So Dark Horse going to be able to finish off the kill there. And again, early aggression here from the side of our red team as Artemis is looking for a boss against the...
A 5-minute boss on Tomb of the Spider Queen.
Yeah, definitely very early, but they have the Nature's Calling for Lunara. It's been scouted out, but the ults are also in now for our red team. And the Choo Choo Boiz just have to make sure that they're not losing gems right now. As 25 on the ground, looks like 25 more getting dropped. As a great Durance of Hate going to take out Stitches and Jaina. Luckily, gems will be picked up though by Ducro on the Sonya.
Evernight coming in here to give a little bit tanking so that the red team can finish off this boss. As they traded 1 for 2, but didn't have a tank left with them to help take those big shots.
Now
that does give Sonya time to dump off her ton of gems.
Yep, and that will allow for the objective to be pushing in against this boss. It is early, so shouldn't expect too much to come of it, but a lot more will come with this kill in the mid lane against Raynor. Excellent rotations, once again, getting the ganks from Team Artemis here. And that's going to enable them to defend this pretty much for free as they've got the boss in the top lane. And with Raynor down, not really much opportunity to push for the rest of the Choo Choo Boiz.
As we say that, Sonya gets caught in an Entomb and a Light Bomb in the bottom lane and is going to go down with 30 gems. Just sitting there about to despawn.
And that is really bad news. Things getting even worse here now as we've got about a level and a half lead for the side of Artemis, and Stitches trying to get the hook, but not quite able to land it on the skinny hitboxes here from our red team.
Red team rotating up to clear this blue Web Weaver here as blue team looks to get some free clear on this mid wave to clear the first catapult that they can find.
And with that, and with that, an effective clear here on the objective, only taking a bit of chip onto their fort front walls. And if you look at the count, as actually a hook comes out onto Evernight, so we're going to focus on the fight for the moment. He's taking a good bit of chunk here from Jaina, but with the remaining parts of Artemis here, it's going to force both teams back. And if you look at the gems, it is very much in favor of Artemis. They've got to turn in and a little bit more here over the Choo Choo Boiz, as well as their level 13 talents now coming in. Really big lead thanks to the ganks there taking away gems from our blue team.
Yeah, I think they're going to also secure their turn in after clearing this blue camp mid. Oh, but Mephisto gets eaten by Stitches. Oh, and Stitches is locked in an Entomb.
Really great play there from our red team. You can see the communication coming out very well as they get 1 kill, 2 kills, and it looks like at least 1 more. It's going to be 4 members, all but Sonya, who is in the bottom lane, falling, as the amount of communication and trust there from Artemis was great. We saw the Entomb come out to deny the Stitches from rocking away, and then we saw the pull coming out from Anduin as soon as Mephisto got out, so Ashkan could get to doing what he does best, putting out the AoE damage with Mephisto, and doing so very effectively.
Yeah, man, that was scary for a moment there, as Mephisto was going to get carted away, but his team definitely had his back. And now they're pushing to come back under this blue fort on the bottom lane to finish this off.
Meanwhile, Leoric's pushing up the top lane on his own with this Web Weaver. That should be falling as well. So all 3 forts down with Two of the web weavers also looking pretty healthy. It's the mid lane going to be the main focus of defense. But down level 13, it's still a struggle here for our blue team. They do luckily have ults, but maybe Sonya not even going to have time to leap out as face checking the bush, and the tragic results are well known. And again, Entomb used excellently to deny this Stitches, and he's actually going to fall just in front of his gate as a result.
Lunara didn't even need to Leaping Strike because the Yorick says, I got you, girl.
And while looking at the ults, as I failed to earlier, we do have the Twilight Dream, the Rainer's Raider, of course the Gorge, and then the Leap and Water Elemental. But that's not really going to matter that much, as so far they have not been able to get those picks that they're needing so much. That being said, Ashkan gets saved again by 7. 7 looking like the MVP for this series right now, just constantly denying the game plan here for the Choo Choo Boiz.
Yep. 7 keeping himself and his team alive.
And now, looking at the gem counts, only 1 needed for the side of Artemis, and this is the Tomb of the Spider Queen Snowball. Gems have been lost for the side of the Choo Choo Boiz as well as levels, and that's resulting in talent tier down and not even close to their turn-in as the aggression starts in the bottom lane. Cool Dad being slowed by Lunara. Lots of dot coming out thanks to the unfair advantage at 16, and with the Entomb, Light Bomb, and Durance of Hate, it's looking like it's going to be 2 more as Mad Mortigan on the Stitches as well as Sonya, both falling. Another 1 team fight for Artemis, taking it 3-0.
Yeah, strong slows coming out of this Lunara with that let them wither at 13. Really seeing that she's able to put the slow down as the red team Artemis looks to rotate on the boss.
Yep, and it is up, and they're playing it perfectly here as we've got Mephisto turning in the last gem that's needed, waiting a little bit so that they can chunk the boss a bit more. And this is exactly the play that you want to make around the boss. You want to time it so that it's coming in at the same time as your web weavers so you can push with them together. And now this is looking really scary. 17 to 1 in kills. Boss and web weavers pushing down this top lane. Gonna have to be a last stitch defense for the Choo Choo Boiz as they come in as 5.
Oh!
That being said, a Blessed Shield followed up by the Light Bomb and the Entomb is going to say no and shut down those hopes. Honestly, in Dark Horse as well as Evernight fell so low, chunking in that corridor, but it's not going to be enough, and that's a team wipe and possibly a repeat of last game as we have the boss and the web weaver pushing in the top lane. This should definitely be game here. This GG is called by Sugar Bear in the chat.
Wow, what a team fight. The Blessed Shield, the Entomb. Red team just says you can't leave. Ouch.
Yep. The counter engages have been excellent from Mephisto, from Honestly on his ETC and on the JOHANNA, and that's going to result in the first game for Choo Choo Boiz going actually to Artemis, their opponents here. But a series well played from both sides regardless here, as we can hopefully be jumping into an interview here shortly with our victorious team.
Yep, GG's to the Choo Choo Boiz, and GG's to Team Artemis.
Alright, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and reach out to the team captain here for Artemis, but first we can take a bit of a look at the stats as once again, Ashkan putting in the numbers here on Mephisto.
Really showing dominance there.
Yeah, and JOHANNA also playing excellently as well, the only one to die for the team on this map. So 7 gonna keep up his undying streak.
Yeah, he's someone to watch. If you're a D West fan, look out for 7, the only unkilled member of all of D West. Now that Choo Choo Boiz has played their first map, 7, the unkillable.
Alright, well, I'm going to go ahead and jump into Lobby 1 voice so that we can potentially get an interview here with one of the members of our victorious team here. So I'll meet you there.
wonder if Seven knows that he is in an elite group of now 14 or less NGS players who have not died yet. Maybe he won't die ever.
We'll see. That would be certainly an impressive feat. I don't think I've ever heard of someone never dying throughout an entire season. All right, one moment here. All right, looks like we should be getting someone sent over here, and we're joined by Honestly of Artemis. How are you feeling?
Fantastic. How are you guys today?
We're excellent as well.
Yeah, that was a clinic that you guys put on. Very excellent play all around. You guys have to be feeling pretty good as you're undefeated in your first 2 matches so far of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. It's nice to start out this way.
All right. Well, going into this series, you're against a brand new team. So let me know, what was the thought process going in? Were you able to find some prep, or were you just going with what you normally do and feeling confident?
Yeah, honestly, we didn't know what to look for. So we just kind of played around what we know, and luckily it worked out.
Definitely. And it was pretty dominant both games. Obviously, when you're coming in with new teams, it's a bit hard to balance it, but I felt like it was while skill level maybe not that much of a difference, the coordination really shown, especially I felt like in the second game there. Everknight's here, I believe, muted at the moment, but if Everknight wants to unmute, I just wanted to ask kind of what it was like playing the Lyric in game 2 against the Stitches, as there were some great entombs to deny the Gorge there.
No thoughts in particular, but thank you for asking. When I saw our Lunara get gorged and they were just walking for their gate, it was a pretty obvious choice to entomb and try to save her. I thought she would get caught in the entomb as well though, and she might die for it, but she actually got ejected outside of the entomb, so that was great.
Yeah, you guys definitely all worked great there. We noticed some great coordination and great counter engages. If I had one question here, I'd say who would you guys have to give the MVP for your team to for this match? You all played excellently, but I want to hear who you think it was, if you think it was one of yourselves, or who you guys think it would be.
It was a pretty good team effort. I think X had some really good entombs, like you just that made some really good plays. But then also 7 on Anduin, knowing when to throw the light bomb and get those good engages.
All right, StoiC, if you have any questions, go ahead.
Yeah. First question, just honestly, you played JOHANNA. She's one of my favorites. Are you the shot caller for your team?
Kind of. I try to call our engages and kill time. But we kind of have a party calls by committee type thing for our macro game.
Ooh. Is a secret sauce, or do you mind sharing what a calls by committee sounds like?
It's chaos, and everybody's just yelling back and forth.
Well, you know what? But it worked for you in this game. Strong macro performance last week with Luigi and what's his bucket, Knuckles, at the Olympic Games. But and this week as well. In the beginning of that first match, when they didn't take their siege camp right away at that, in that first rotation in the first 2 minutes, is that something you guys noticed? Is that something you were thinking about and talking about? What were comms like?
Yeah, we definitely noticed. They had a little bit of lead on us early there. You got on their rotations sooner. The Jaina was doing a really good job at clearing the waves, and we weren't keeping up initially. So when we grabbed our camp, we were surprised to see theirs was still up.
Yeah. Okay. And then that, I think, if I remember correctly, allowed you just to rotate bottom and get that other camp as well.
Yeah, we knew they were going to have to deal with our camp mid, which was going to open up the rest of the map.
Yeah. So for folks at home, great thing to keep in mind, and Team Artemis did a great job of that. My only other question is, Super strong game 1 for you guys. Just doing work. Game 2, when you see almost an identical draft, what's going through your head?
Well, we had success against that draft in the previous game, so we were just going to look for clean engages, make sure we're getting our priority kills down first, and just kind of moving from there.
And I think it showed. I think you guys put on 2 great games back to back. Well played and well deserved win, Artemis. That's what I got. Back to you, Hydra.
Yeah, that's all I've got as well. It was an excellent series. The floor is yours for shoutouts, Artemis.
No, just want to say thanks for the cast, guys. It was a good game. Best of luck to the other team. I know we're going to be seeing them again sometime again this season, so we look forward to it.
All right. Well, thank you, guys. We're going to head off to close out the cast. You guys have a good one.
All right. Thanks. You too.
Good luck, y'all. Have a great season.
All right. So that's the end of this cast. Very, very dominant win here from Artemis, but it's always good to see teams that are communicating well and doing well in their division. I'd have to say, looking at that game, I think Artemis is looking like a favorite to me for Div D West. What are you thinking?
Yeah, really strong showing. I imagine that they will jump up in the rankings going into week 3. I was very impressed. They looked strong against Luigi and Knuckles, but they looked really strong as well against the Choo Choo Boiz this week.
All right. Well, with that, I think we're going to close it off. Thank you, everyone who came out. Thank you for the multiple raids. Always appreciate it. Chat calling out the Anduin pick as being the MVP, and I can't entirely disagree. Although I will say, maybe a bit of so. Seven said he DM'd me there, and I didn't want to bring it up during the interview because I don't want to cause infighting. But he says that his secret to being the only one staying alive is letting his teammates die at least once. So we'll have to see play from Artemis in the future. Keep an eye on them. They're a team to watch for sure. But that's all we've got for tonight. I'll just leave you with that thought. Feel free to leave some feedback. I believe I have the feedback command in the title, but if not, just !feedback. If you enjoyed it, go ahead and let us know how you felt about the cast. We appreciate any feedback you have. StoiC, any last words before we send chat off?
Nope. I'll be watching 7 though. I got my eye on him. We'll see how many of his teammates he kills to continue his streak.
All right. Thank you everyone for watching. Gonna head out. Have a good night, everyone.
Have a good night, y'all.